Welcome back to One Hit Wonderland, where we take a look at bands and artists known for only one song. So, this is my first episode since I finished the year-end lists, where I was ranting a lot about how bad the last year in music was. But will people remember that in the future? 2025 was mostly bad because there was so little that was good, but no one remembers the stuff they didn't hear. I'm guessing that in the future people will elevate the stuff they liked and claim the year was good. For a year to go down in history as bad, you need a lot of actively terrible music. So, by contrast, I think it's fair that we return to the storied, famous, worst year in pop music history, 1974.
What you having, my baby? You're the woman I love, and I love what it's doing.
God, it is so funny that there's a designated worst year of music.
Rub it in, rub it in.
Just something we all agree on and talk about. Like, most of the people who say that weren't even there.
I've decided to choose one song from each year in Lorelei's life. I'm almost done, though I've hit a snag in 1974. Bad year? It's making the year of the Macarena look inspired.
Oh, yes, they call him the street.
Believe me, I have so many options if I want to emphasize this as a bad year in pop history, but if I really want to talk about 1974 being shitty for music, why bother with a deep cut? Let's take one of the most obvious, canonical, bad songs of all time.
Goodbye to you, my trusted friend.
I'm pretty sure the originator of 1974 being the worst year in music is the humor writer Dave Barry. And one of his reasons, of course, was one of that year's biggest hits, Seasons in the Sun, by Canadian songwriter Terry Jacks, about which Dave wrote, "Seasons in the Sun is about a man who is dying, but not fast enough."
My friend, it's hard to die.
I cannot say I disagree. Although, fun fact, this is one of my mother's favorite songs. And one of my father's least favorites. And it'll make him happy if I call this song insipid at least once, so this one's for you, Dad.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the hills that we climbed were just seasons out of time.
Now, the man in the song might be dying, but Terry Jacks is not. He's still alive, which means he might see this video, so apologies to the man in advance, because I might be harsh and I might hurt some feelings, and I always hate that. But one thing that does give me a little bit of consolation is, at this point, the guy is probably used to it. On any list of bad songs of the 70s, usually just bad songs period, Seasons in the Sun is always on there. Even decades after it should have faded from memory, it lives on as a distantly remembered meme and a symbol of the terrible taste of previous generations. Like, I remember several cartoons I watched as a kid clowning on their boomer characters for liking this song.
I like Bobby Goldsboro, Gilbert O'Sullivan, Terry Jacks, Parliament.
Who'd want to listen to those things?
Seasons in the Sun. Oh, I can't bear to sell these. They're classics.
To be fair to the boomers, a lot of them hated it too. So much so you'd think no one liked it ever, and that isn't true.
What's it like to have the 6th most popular recording in the world? Seasons in the Sun has sold more than 12 million copies.
That's how much people loved it, including my mother. Listeners were actually really touched by this song about a dying guy reminiscing about the better days of his life.
Learned of love and ABC, and skinned our hearts and skinned our knees. Goodbye, my
So
friend.
are the critics being too harsh? Well, we're gonna skin our hearts and skin our knees trying to find the answer. But before we continue, I just feel the need to point out that, yes, that is that dude's real hair. Always looked like that, and it has continued to look like that decades later. I guess he lost the mutton chops, but he has always had perfectly round hair that makes him look like a microphone. The 70s. Glorious time.
I wish that we could both be there. We had
Our story begins in Canada in the mid-60s, which was around the time Canada first started to realize that they should try and have culture of some kind. One of those attempts was a Vancouver-based ripoff of American Bandstand, tragically not called Canadian Bandstand. It was actually called Let's Go, and one of the regular performers on it was a 17-year-old girl named Susan Pesklevitz. Pesklevitz? Pesklevitz. One day, Susan asked one of the other performers on the show, one Terry Jacks, to accompany her on guitar, and pretty soon the two fell in love, which, good for you, man. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but, you know, they got a little sitcom energy to them. Anyway, they fell in love, they got married, and they started a band called the Poppy Family. Which, adds up, late 60s. At the time, Vancouver was like Canada's San Francisco, right? Just hippie central. So naturally, you got this flower powery name for the band. And I guess everything aligned for them because the Poppy Family would become one of the few Canadian bands at that time to hit it big.
Which way you going, Billy? Can I go too?
This is their biggest hit, Which Way You Goin', Billy?
You are my homie, my heart and my soul.
Not my personal favorite hippie song. They're a little too poppy for my taste, honestly. I like my Dirty Hippies a little dirtier, but this is not terrible, it's fine. It's about how she loves some guy named Billy and wishes she could follow him everywhere. And Terry says he wrote it when he was actually thinking about the poor schmucks getting sent off to war away from their loved ones. So that's 2 Vietnam songs about women losing guys named Billy.
Billy, don't be a hero. Come back.
Yeah, there's another song from 1974 everyone hates. So Terry wins that one, I guess.
Which way you going, Billy?
Which Way You Goin', Billy got all the way to number 2 in America. Kept off the top spot only by Ray Stevens and then The Beatles. So, no shame in getting beaten by the best. The Beatles and Ray Stevens. The band never really had a hit on that level again, but they stuck it out for another few years, and some of those tracks are pretty decent.
I never knew where evil grew.
Wait a minute. Where do I know this from?
And lives in evil grows in the
Oh my god, that's right. That's the song from the Sonic the Hedgehog dance scene.
evil grows in cracks and holes.
Oh, man, that's a deep pull, Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Who came up with that? Maybe Carrie wanted to support his fellow Canadians. Unfortunately, showbiz marriages are not long for this world. By 1973, the Poppy Family had become the Poppy Trial Separation, and then eventually the Poppy Two Separate People. Susan Jacks would maintain some minor presence in the Canadian music industry over the next few decades, but she wouldn't really ever be a big deal again. But Which Way You Goin', Terry? That's where things get interesting. Now this will surprise you, certainly surprised me, but Seasons in the Sun is actually a very complicated and interesting song, originally. We are gonna roll backwards to 1961, and to the beloved Belgian songwriter Jacques Brel. Brel was a really important guy. All sorts of great artists cite him as an influence. David Bowie, Leonard Cohen. Now, I am not very well versed in the glorious history of French chanson, so I'm not gonna go deep on him, but he is in fact the original writer of this song. In its original French, this song is called Le Moribond, or The Dying Man.
Et je veux qu'on rie, je veux qu'on danse, je veux qu'on s'amuse comme des fous. Je veux qu'on rie, je veux qu'on danse quand c'est qu'on mettra dans trop.
It's about a man on his deathbed saying goodbye to all his loved ones.
Adieu les mille, je t'aimais bien.
The first verse is dedicated to Emile, his best friend. Remember the good times, man. We had joy, we had fun, etc. And the second verse is to the priest, Father, we took different paths in life, but I think we were looking for the same things in the end. Please look after my wife. And the third verse is to Antoine.
Adieu l'Antoine, je t'aimais pas bien.
Antoine, go fuck yourself.
Mon rêve de crever aujourd'hui, alors que toi, tu es bien vivant.
He really does not like Antoine. He's like, yeah, I guess you'll be looking after my wife too, Antoine, since you were fucking her behind my back, you piece of shit. I love this. How did Antoine get invited to be there at this guy's last moments? Ugh, French are built different.
Adieu ma femme, je t'aimais bien.
And then the last one's to his wife, I love you, we'll meet again someday, and now my eyes are closing shut. Just like I kept them shut throughout our marriage so I could pretend I didn't see all the men you were fucking. Oh, yeah, a lot of things going on in this. A lot of different tones. It's very, very French. Or French language, at least. Now, Brel was popularized in the English-speaking world thanks to a guy named Rod McEwen, occasional composer and songwriter, but most famous as a best-selling poet, one of the most popular authors of poetry of his generation. And if you go through his Wikipedia, there is a whole section of critics just absolutely trashing him left and right.
Snobs hated him. In fact, today's New York Times obituary says critics found his work facile, tepid, and aphoristic.
Yeah, just pages and pages of critics calling him the hackiest Hallmark card schlock poet, getting angry at having to discuss him. And one of those critics listed is Esquire magazine columnist Nora Ephron, which is very funny considering the stuff she got famous for later.
Adieu, Emile, my trusted friend.
So besides writing crappy poetry, McEwen also translated all of Brel's work into English, including Le Moribond, renamed in English as Seasons in the Sun.
We had joy, we had fun.
McEwen's version is not a direct translation, and it's kind of watered down. The second verse is to his dad instead of the priest, and Antoine doesn't make it in there. And, I don't know about some of these lyrical choices.
But the stars we could reach were just starfish on the beach.
But, it's not like a butchering or anything. He did preserve some of it.
Adieu, Francoise, my trusted wife. Without you, I'd have had a lonely life. You cheated lots of times, but then
It's still funny.
I forgave you in the end, though your lover was my friend.
Now, since the 60s were a decade of cover songs, lots of artists took their shot at it.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
The first recorded was actually the Kingston Trio, and theirs would be the most famous version for a while. McEwen recorded several of his own versions, of course. British invasion band The Fortunes put it out as a single. But it wasn't really a hit yet. Not until Terry Jacks got a hold of it in the early 70s and decided to record it. But not for himself. At some point in his travels with the Poppy family, Jacks made friends with the Beach Boys, and he got the offer to produce a song for them in the early 70s. Now, he picked Seasons in the Sun, which makes sense, right? Who knows more about fun in the sun than the Beach Boys? We had joy and fun and Seasons in the Sun till Daddy took the T-Bird away. Okay, it was meant for the album Surf's Up, which is one of the ones the hipsters really love, but the song didn't make the cut. Why not? Well, the Beach Boys are in total chaos at the time, so there are many reasons. Terry said a couple times that Brian Wilson couldn't handle someone else being in charge. According to Mike Love, the problem was that it was, quote, so wimpy. And folks, let me say, Mike Love is not wrong. You heard it here. It'd mean more if he hadn't also said that about Pet Sounds, but, credit due, Mike Love, not wrong. And so here we are in 1974.
Goodbye to you, my trusted friend.
Terry Jacks is starting his solo career. He decides to revive those old sessions and record the song himself. None of his friends like it. They say it's too sad, but the Paperboy likes it and all his friends like it, so Terry knows he's got something here. So he releases it and the song just blows up.
Goodbye, my friend, it's hard to die.
After several attempts by several people in several languages, it is now a hit.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
A thing that could really only have happened in 1974. Now, last time I covered this year, I put it in an era I call the lame 70s. I guess my half-ass attempt at defining that is, it's the kind of music that's all kind of downstream of the 60s pop that was not in conversation with rock and roll. And some of that combined with the folk movement of the 60s and the singer-songwriters of the early 70s to make some of the lamest, wimpiest soft rock you've ever heard. And it just dominated the singles charts until the rise of disco.
Bye, Papa, please pray for me.
Now, Terry Jacks certainly is a part of that movement, but I don't know that Seasons in the Sun would have been a big hit even then, if not for the fact that Terry wrote a completely different song.
Goodbye, Michelle, my little one.
He gave it a full rewrite. He took out all the French names, all the stuff about the cheating wife. The wife disappears entirely, in fact. In actuality, he only changes like a few lines here and there, but to me, it's a completely separate thing. There is no trace of the original at all to me.
Goodbye, Papa, it's hard to die.
And apparently it worked. That unlocked the song for the vast majority of music listeners of the 70s. That was enough to finally turn the song into a #1 smash single.
We had joy, we had fun.
So considering how beloved it was by everyone, including my mother, my question is it really bad?
We had joy, we had fun.
It's uncool, certainly, and I've always hated it, but am I just repeating what I've heard from Dave Barry and my dad? Mom says that's why I wouldn't eat beets as a kid, because Dad's always talking about how gross they are, and she was right, that was why. Also, I can tell you one huge fan of Seasons in the Sun.
Kurt, you sang Seasons in the Sun? Yes, I did. One of the only singles I can remember from my childhood that I used to cry to.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain apparently loved it. One of his favorite songs from childhood.
Goodbye, Papa, please play for me.
I mean, it wasn't ever clear when Kurt was fucking with you. He did a bunch of piss-takes covers with everyone playing the wrong instruments, but all the serious writers seemed to think he was completely sincere about this. So am I gonna say that Kurt Cobain, one of the biggest music snobs who ever lived, has worse taste in music than me? No. So let me ignore the jokes and hear this with fresh ears, because this is a serious song.
Goodbye, Papa, please pray for me. I was the black sheep of the family.
Like, all the funny stuff is gone. It's now an actual serious song about dying young. Jack says he wrote his version when he was hanging out with a friend, and the friend told him, you should know, I have 6 months to live.
And he died 4 months later. So I wrote the song about Roger.
And then, the friend did die. He left behind a young daughter, and so that's why Jack's changed the lyrics so that the guy's addressing his daughter now.
Goodbye, Michelle, my little one. You gave me love and helped me find the sun.
And you're sitting here mocking this heartfelt love ballad. Don't you feel bad? So is Seasons in the Sun a good song, actually? Honestly, I think I understood this song a lot better after hearing the Beach Boys version, because they let that out of the vault a couple years ago.
Please pray for me.
Harry's version has tons of Beach Boys DNA. There are all these Brian Wilson-y elements to it, like the organ, the key change, the guitar lick at the beginning. If you see this song as a Beach Boys song, it makes more sense. And one part I do really like is in the second verse where the harmonies kick in.
Papa, it's hard to die.
Goodbye, Papa, it's hard to die.
I mean, that's just a good moment. That is a good musical moment. So, yeah, I would say I no longer think of this as the worst song of the 70s. Because believe me, you do a deep dive on the 70s, and there is so much more crap that has not been remembered.
How he makes me quiver, how he makes me smile.
Just some truly untold horrors. So yes, I have softened on this song. I don't think I'm gonna shock anyone here though, because I still don't think it's very good.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun.
Hearing the Beach Boys version made me appreciate it more, but also a lot less. Because, whoo boy, Terry Jacks is not the Beach Boys.
But the wine and the song, like the seasons have all gone.
Like, he's not even Mike Love. Just God, his singing. Like, he takes what should be a moment of real gravity. The sound of a man saying goodbye to his loved ones.
You tried to teach me right from wrong.
Yeah, he does sound like a dying man, just not in the good way. He's emoting, he's trying to sell it, but
little children everywhere.
He just turns it into something maudlin, sickly. It reminds me of watching these awful, weepy chick flicks where someone dies at the end. Except it's not a beautiful young woman, it's a guy with a Poindexter voice and a dirty clown wig for hair. It's annoying, whimpering, simpering, insipid. Insipid's the word. Also, I think I just don't like the chorus of this. Sorry, Jacques. Or maybe I just don't like it when Terry does it. Like, this is weird to say about a song that's only ever been performed by white people, but Jax does the whitest version of it. But also the chorus just feels too short.
Stars we could reach, we're just starfish on the beach.
It's so short that when he adds the key change, it just feels like he's trying to stretch it out, and it's just awful. People nowadays talk about the death of the key change as proof music is bad now. Like, do we really need to preserve that? Like, some musical cliches can just die. Die like the poor guy in this song.
We had joy, we had fun.
But Terry Jacks did not die. Terry Jacks was on top of the world, or so you'd think. I actually don't know how much joy and fun he had, but much like the guy in the song, it was over far too soon. Before I get to the actual follow-up single, I want to make note here of the B-side of Seasons in the Sun, which Kurt Cobain was an even bigger fan of.
Because all I know is that there's a better song on the B-side of that single called Put the Bone In.
Put the bone in, she asked him at the store.
It's about telling a butcher to leave the bone in a cut of meat that's going to be a treat for a doggy.
'Cause my doggy's been hit by a car.
And actually, Terry says he got several members of the 1973 Vancouver Canucks to sing backup.
Vancouver Canucks are on background vocals for Put the Bone In?
Yes, if you hear those, you know, every time I say put the bone in, they go, put the bone in.
Put the bone in, she asked him.
So that's a cool piece of trivia for this song, which, again, is titled Put the Bone In.
Do you think they're saying one thing that actually means something else? Do you think it's a double entendre of some sort? Put the bone in.
I don't think Terry.
Innuendo. There's nothing sexual
you're
about
worse
it.
than
All fun aside, here's the actual follow-up single,
If you go away.
a romantic ballad called If You Go Away, originally written by the Belgian songwriter Jacques Brel and translated by the poet Rod McHugh. Come on, seriously?
But if you stay, I'll make you a day.
Okay, so right away, this is an excessively safe choice for a follow-up. And even if we weren't already following up a Jacques Brel song, it'd still be too safe. Because If You Go Away was already a hit for jazz pop singer Damita Jo in 1965, and tons of people had covered it since. Frank Sinatra, Scott Walker, Neil Diamond.
If you go away.
If you go away.
If you go away.
So many versions of this. But even though some of the greatest vocalists of that time had already tried their hand at it, what this song really needed was a big dose of Jax.
Birds that flew in the summer sky when our love was new.
Again, the problem is Terry's voice, man. Like, you got this great melodramatic torch song full of drama, full of emotion, and then you give it to a guy who sounds...
But if you go away when I love you so...
who sounds like Paul Simon after getting punched in the balls. Let's compare the Tom Jones version.
But if you stay, I'll make you a night like no night has been.
In the summer sky when our love was new.
You know, Ray Charles did a version that same year. Let's hear that one.
If you go away, girl, if you go away, if you go away.
Just an empty room full of empty space.
Right. Terry's version only reached number 68, which is tied with the Damita Jo version for highest charting version, which that's just not fair. But it's at least better than the Joker version.
You go away, never keep the part.
I love this movie. Now, he put out one other single from that album called Rock and Roll, I Gave You the Best Years of My Life.
Rock and roll, I gave you all the best years of my life.
Those were your best?
66 seemed like the year I was really going somewhere.
Yeah, this one is a cover also. It's an Australian song about wasting your life trying to be a rock star.
100 record companies that didn't like my tunes.
You know, understandable cover for a guy like Jax, who was always, but not quite, on the verge of making it.
Always one step behind you.
For the same reason as all his other songs, it's a hard listen. Especially compared to the original by Kevin Johnson, who's a much more weathered, beaten-down singer.
But I was always just one step behind you.
You hear Terry's version, you immediately understand why this particular singer didn't make it big.
And she tried to help me understand I'd never be a star.
And again, we know the problem was Terry because this song was also a hit for someone else.
Rock and roll, I gave you all the best years of my life.
It lost the chart battle in 1975 to Mac Davis, a forgotten villain of the 70s who made a lot of terrible music.
Girl, you're a hot-blooded woman child, and it's warm where you're touching me.
But he did have an actual singing voice, and he brought his version all the way to number 15, while Terry's version floundered no higher than number 95. So I think by the end of 75, we can officially say that Terry's season in the sun had officially come to an end. Now, with all these episodes, there's always the same question. Why not more hits? What happened? Did he not have the talent? Not have the songs? Did trends shift around him and he couldn't adjust? All of these things are plausible at least, but considering the success he'd already had, I don't think it explains everything. No, upon research, it turns out the real reason he didn't do more is Terry Jacks was just 100% not about that life. Even before the Poppy family broke up, he was done with touring. He hated it. When he had his big smash, he didn't really try to take advantage of it. He did very little promotion. For 20 years, there was a guy named Terry Jacques pretending to be him out on tour, but the actual guy himself just wouldn't do it.
After the record Seasons in the Sun, I didn't do much recording after that.
And you might be saying, well, yeah, of course he wasn't about that rock star life. Listen to the music he made. No, that's not it. You can go see James Taylor on stage going, shower the people with love. And then he'd walk off stage and dive into a pile of cocaine. My point is, you gotta love it, and Terry just didn't.
You don't like doing interviews, do you?
No, I don't do, I do very few interviews.
He was already more or less retired by the time he got big. Once he had his Seasons in the Sun money, he moved to the middle of nowhere, and that's where he lives to this day. In fact, I skipped over his first single, Concrete Sea.
No one is meant to be living here in a concrete sea.
And it's all about how much he hates the city.
I hate going to the cities and the smog and the air conditioning. Every time I come to New York, I get a headache.
Yeah, you tell him, Terry.
When I first started out, all I wanted was enough money to buy a boat. We got lucky. I could buy half a dozen yachts just with the royalties from the last record.
Now you might be asking, wait, what are we watching right now? Folks, I am overjoyed to tell you that we are now watching Seasons in the Sun, the 1986 TV movie starring Terry Jacks, produced by Terry Jacks, and I have to assume secretly written by Terry Jacks. It aired in Canada, and I wish I could tell you more about how and why this exists, but I cannot. I did watch the entire thing though, and even calling it a movie is really pushing it. I think a good half of it is just his actual home movies. But here's the plot, such as it is. Terry Jacks stars as humongous mega superstar Terry Brandon, who's on top of the world, legions of fans, headlining MSG, and then he gets a possibly terminal illness.
But there is a 50% chance that you could die within the next 18 months.
So he retires out to the woods to presumably wait to see if he dies. Great premise for a movie. And boy, if you think he was uncharismatic as a singer, wait till you see him act.
What's wrong? I'm completely well again. Well, it's just that, anyway, I told Bernie I've got to take some time off.
Terry, I don't understand.
Here he is in a gross-ass discarded bathtub. There's your starfish on the beach. Anyway, I'm just gonna play random clips from the movie now, where he, no joke, gets involved in a spy intrigue plot involving the CIA, gets mobbed by his adoring fans and beats up their jealous husbands, has sex in the bathtub, and I guess he's still terminally ill at the end of it. I don't know. Now, I'm leading with that because it's funny, but before that, he also did keep recording music off and on. His immediate follow-up album, The Seasons in the Sun, in 1975 had some charting singles in Canada, but by that point, Canada had passed the laws that forced radio to play Canadian songs, so I'm not sure I count that. Let's check some of them out.
Christina can make.
Yeah, you know what, actually, let's not. After that one, he put out 2 more albums in the 80s. I don't think they sound very good either.
Then you fool me again.
Yeah, that's some Canadian content, all right. Now, he did do some production for other bands, like Chili Whack, which is a name that means something to Canadians, and oh, here's a fun thing. Here's hardcore punk band DOA covering one of his songs and jamming with him.
I never knew where evil grew.
That's cool. But mostly his life afterwards was non-musical. He found Jesus, and he mostly spends his time fighting for the environment, and good for him. He'll occasionally do guest appearances for charity to sing a song, and last year, he resurfaced in his 80s to make a Christian album.
I know we got the internet, Facebook, facelift, I forget. But Jesus works for me.
Uh-huh. You know, how did he not name this album Seasons in the Sun? Get it? No, 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 no.
We had joy, we had fun.
No, the song, it's bad. It's bad. There's no reason it should have been this big, but, you know, whatever. And it's not a matter of him deserving better, because the dude checked himself out of the game. He had his wine and song, and then he went off to enjoy the springtime while he could still enjoy it. He bought himself a boat, and he made a movie to show off the boat, and that's what he does with his time now, and who can blame him? So if you don't like the song, Terry Jacks did the one thing you could ask him to do. He went away, on purpose. So thanks for the good times, Terry. We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons. Can't say it's not catchy, at least. I'll be singing that for the rest of my life.
All our lives we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. But the hills that we climbed were just seasons out of time.
Alright, there's my bad one-hit wonder review for the year. You probably clicked to hear me say how bad it was. Shame on you. These kinds of videos are not good for you. And if you want to know why, I can point you to a good video from my good friend Lindsay Ellis. You know, if you watch me, you're probably also a fan of her for, you know, reasons. And this new one is about a deep dive into the horrible, horrible world of police body cam YouTube, which is a bunch of channels where you, the unforgiving public, get to gawk and make fun of all the freaks and drunken wrecks that get arrested by the police. Ah, man, we keep finding ways to make YouTube even trashier than it already is. Oh my god, this place is a cesspool. Whereas Nebula is not. So if you want to find out all the horrible implications of a world where every embarrassing run-in with the law can be laughed at, not just by jerk cops, but also the public at large, you can watch that video exclusively on Nebula, the creator-built platform that's home to smart, weird, one-of-a-kind shows you won't find anywhere else. And you know, not this crap. And you'll also find exclusives from Maggie Mae Fish and FD Signifier and other people more talented than I am. Yeah, see, they also give out lifetime subscriptions that last for literally as long as both you and Nebula exist. Usually it's $500, but if you use my code, you can get it only for $300. So that's literally a 40% discount. Or if you just want to do the yearly subscription, you can get a full 50% off that too using my code. So that'd only be $30 a year or $2.50 a month. There's no ads, no algorithm, just high-quality stuff made by great non-body cam YouTube artists and video makers. So if you want to watch more Lindsay and a ton of other amazing Nebula originals, use my link to get 50% off. And again, that's just $30 a year or $2.50 a month. Click the link, scan the QR code, and start watching now. Thank you and good night.
We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun. But the hills that we climbed were just seasons at a time.
Okay, one last thing, real quick.
Red dear, it's making the year of the Macarena look inspired.
Fuck you, Lane. 1996 was a great year. Y'all actually watch the show? I'd never seen it before. It's really annoying. Well, thanks for watching through the ad, by the way.